Have you ever felt like you're surrounded by everything, yet completely alone? She did. Until the only one who truly saw her wasn't human. And that bond? It went deeper than anyone could imagine. As we prepare to embark on today's tale, I invite you to show your appreciation by tapping that like button and subscribing to our channel. Your support means the world. Your encouragement fuels my passion to craft even more captivating videos for you. Be sure to ring that notification bell, ensuring you're always in the loop with the latest updates. And so, we shall carry on with the tale. It was a night I never anticipated, just me and Buddy, my loyal dog, while Noah, my husband, was away. Little did I know this simple moment would weave itself into the fabric of my memories, creating an unforgettable evening. Once upon a time, just a few weeks back, Noah departed, leaving Buddy and me behind in the house as he set off on yet another business adventure. The house wrapped itself in an eerie stillness during his absence, a silence that magnified the void surrounding me. As time unfolded, I found myself becoming familiar with this rhythm. His journeys for work unfolded with a certain frequency, frequently stretching over several days or even weeks. His work was beyond reproach. It allowed us to enjoy our cozy suburban life, with a spacious backyard and a home that often seemed to belong solely to Buddy and me. Buddy, our faithful companion, had journeyed alongside us for more than 5 years. From the moment we welcomed him into our lives as a playful, bumbling puppy, he transformed into my loyal friend, always by my side. Though Noah found himself ensnared by the demands of long hours and distant meetings, Buddy remained a steadfast presence, always by his side. With a wagging tail and a warm nuzzle, he greeted me, his soulful brown eyes reflecting a depth of understanding that felt almost beyond the realm of a mere dog. Tonight was one of those nights when the stillness of the house wrapped around me like a heavy blanket, pressing in from all sides. I attempted to weave a tapestry of sound with music, television, and even an audiobook, yet the silence remained unbroken. The evening unfolded in solitude. A solitary plate of yesterday's remnants warmed once more. Once the day had settled, I nestled into the couch, a glass of wine cradled in my hand, as Buddy lounged comfortably on the floor, close to my feet. He lingered nearby, as though he could feel the weight of my solitude during those quiet evenings. As I leaned closer, my fingers gently brushed against his velvety, golden coat. "It seems it's just the two of us tonight, doesn't it?" I whispered, my voice barely breaking the silence. Buddy responded with a soft, satisfied sigh, his tail thumping gently against the floor. The connection we had was something special. Buddy was not just a pet. He was my trusted companion, the one who filled the void created by Noah's frequent departures. As time passed, I came to understand just how much I relied on him for solace. It wasn't merely his loyalty or his gentle nature that captivated me. It was the way he appeared to truly see me, grasping the feelings I struggled to articulate. The evening stretched on, each minute dragging by with an agonizing slowness. As I wandered through the digital landscape of my phone, my eyes danced over snapshots of friends enveloped in the warmth of family, their joyous expressions a vivid reminder of the quiet that enveloped me. Their lives buzzed with laughter and commotion, a striking juxtaposition to the deep stillness that filled my own days. Buddy nestled beside me, his head finding a cozy spot on my lap, and a smile crept onto my face, a small beacon of light in the solitude. At least I had some company. My fingers danced through his soft fur, the warmth of his body providing a soothing presence beside me. "You're such a good boy," I whispered softly. His tail wagged in response, and he let out a contented sigh. In moments like these, I felt a deep gratitude for him, for the simple and unwavering love he offered so freely. It wasn't quite the same as having Noah by my side, but it was enough to ease the loneliness just a bit. As the wine worked its magic, the sharp edges of my thoughts began to blur, and I found myself sinking deeper into the embrace of the couch. Buddy shifted, curling up beside me, his warmth a comforting barrier against the solitude of the house. My hand instinctively found its way to his back, and before I knew it, words began to flow between us. You know, Buddy, there are moments when I ponder whether Noah truly realizes the hours he drifts away. My voice softened, carrying a whisper of vulnerability. I get it, really. He's caught up in his world, doing what needs to be done, yet there are times, oh, how I long for his presence to fill the space beside me. Buddy's ears perked up at my words, and he raised his head to meet my gaze, his brown eyes shimmering with an extraordinary depth of understanding that tugged at my heart. It was silly, really, to think he grasped my emotions, yet in that instant, it felt undeniably true. You understand, don't you? I went on, my hand continuing its gentle caress through his fur. Ah, you've arrived. As always, your presence lingers. The atmosphere thickened with silence, punctuated only by the soothing hum of the refrigerator and the gentle cadence of Buddy's breath. My hand lay gently on his side, sensing the rhythmic rise and fall of his chest, a reassuring presence I hadn't known I craved. The heavy silence of the house began to lift with him by my side, morphing into a soothing embrace. As the night unfolded, my mind wandered back to the life Noah and I had woven together. It wasn't bad by any means. We had a lovely home, financial stability, and a routine that worked for the most part. Yet, somewhere along the way, that life began to feel hollow, as if something vital was missing. I couldn't quite pinpoint when it started, but the distance between Noah and me had grown into a silent chasm that neither of us seemed willing to confront. Buddy nudged my hand with his nose, pulling me back from my thoughts. As I looked down at him, a smile crept across my face, thankful for the welcome diversion. Thanks, Buddy, I murmured, my fingers finding their way to scratch behind his ears. You always seem to sense when I need you, don't you? His tail wagged joyfully, and his eyes shone with a warmth that stirred a bittersweet ache deep within my chest. In moments like these, I was struck by the profound significance of Buddy in my life, how he had woven himself into the very fabric of my existence in ways I had never anticipated. He was more than just a dog. He was a lifeline, a steadfast companion reminding me that I was never truly alone. For hours, I nestled on the couch with Buddy, his comforting presence lifting the burdens of the evening, transforming the heaviness into something more bearable. When I finally stood to make my way to bed, a sense of lightness enveloped me, a newfound peace settling in. True to form, Buddy trailed behind me, his steady footsteps a reassuring echo in the quiet of the night. He nestled into his bed at the foot of mine, his cherished place. As I turned off the light and sank into the mattress, I softly murmured into the stillness, "Good night, Buddy. Thank you for being here." And then, out of nowhere, I felt a sudden jolt, something I couldn't quite put into words. The way his eyes met mine in that fleeting moment ignited a fire within me. Perhaps it was the wine, perhaps the weight of loneliness, or maybe it was that deep-seated yearning for a flicker of thrill amidst the quiet stillness. At that moment, clarity eluded me, yet I sensed that understanding was on the horizon. This dawning awareness would guide me through uncharted territories. The following morning, I stirred to the familiar sound of Buddy's tail thumping against the floor, a heartbeat in the quiet of the dawn. He had an uncanny ability to sense when I needed that little push to rise and shine. His golden eyes sparkled as they peeked over the edge of the bed, and a smile crept across my face as he released a gentle, joyful bark, as if to say, "Good morning, it's time to start our adventure." I swung my legs over the side of the bed, leaning down to give his head a scratch while he nestled against me, radiating warmth and enthusiasm. With a chuckle, I replied, all right, I'm up." Buddy, ever the eager companion, raced toward the bedroom door, stopping just long enough to look back at me, as if checking that I was in tow. This had become our little ritual, his subtle reminder that life continues, even when the house loomed large and silent in Noah's absence. Once breakfast was finished, Buddy pranced over to the sliding glass door that opened to the backyard, his tail wagging with eager anticipation for the adventures that lay ahead. I reached for Buddy's leash hanging on the hook by the door, and his excitement surged, his whole body buzzing with energy. A walk was just what I needed to refresh my mind and cast aside the shadows of last night's musings. The neighborhood was just beginning to awaken, the streets still and serene, punctuated only by the soft chirping of birds and the faint drone of a lawnmower in the distance. Buddy trotted alongside me, his leash relaxed, his movements harmonizing with my own. It was one of the qualities I cherished most about him, his tranquil, unwavering companionship. In the midst of life's whirlwind, Buddy had a remarkable ability to anchor me, gently nudging me to embrace the here and now. As we neared the park, I made the choice to release him from his leash. He dashed forward, his ears dancing in the breeze, embodying pure joy as he sprinted ahead. Observing him in that moment, so untroubled and brimming with joy, sparked an involuntary smile upon my lips. His exuberance had a remarkable ability to lift my spirits. I discovered a nearby bench, settled down, and allowed the gentle embrace of the morning sun to envelop me as I kept a watchful gaze on him. Buddy was in hot pursuit of a squirrel, his antics more spirited than serious. "You're ridiculous, you know that?" I called out, laughter bubbling up. He paused, turned on his heels, and bounded back to me, his tail a blur of excitement, tongue hanging out in pure joy. With a soft thud, he settled at my feet, releasing a satisfied sigh. We lingered in that serene morning, enveloped in a peaceful silence. In those moments, when it was just Buddy and me, I often found myself sharing my thoughts with him. There was an undeniable warmth in the moment, as if he were a vessel for the unspoken thoughts swirling in my mind. I leaned closer, my hand gently caressing his ears, and asked, "Do you ever ponder what life might hold if the tides turned? If we broke free from this endless cycle?" His gaze met mine, those big, soulful eyes reflecting a depth of understanding, and for just an instant, it felt as though he was absorbing every word. It was a whimsical notion, really, to believe he could grasp the intricacies of my mind. Yet, in these fleeting moments, it seemed nearly within reach. "I mean, don't misunderstand me," I continued, my fingers gently caressing his fur. "I cherish what we share, but there are times when it feels like something is absent, you see?" I let out a sigh, leaning back against the bench. Noah, a good man at heart, often finds himself away, and when he returns, it feels as though we're merely following a script. Buddy, sensing the weight of the moment, let out a soft whine and rested his head on my knee, stirring a wave of guilt within me. Apologies slipped from my lips as I bent down to give the top of his head a gentle scratch. "You really shouldn't have to endure my endless chatter." Yet, Buddy appeared unfazed by my musings. He remained there, his head resting on my knee, his tail wagging in a gentle rhythm, as if to offer comfort. Instances like these highlighted the depth of my reliance on him, not merely as a pet, but as a steadfast companion, a friend who stood by me in my times of need. As the morning unfolded, we journeyed back home together. The day unfolded with a series of chores, those ordinary tasks that filled the hours. Buddy trailed behind me, a steadfast companion, his presence a soothing balm. Wherever I ventured, he would settle in a corner, his gaze following my every step, as if to reassure me, "I'm here, no need to fret." As the evening unfolded, I settled back onto the couch, with Buddy nestled comfortably beside me. The familiar weight of loneliness lingered in the air, a shadow cast by Noah's absence, yet it felt lighter than it had the previous night. Buddy possessed a unique ability to occupy the void, transforming the silence into something more bearable. Yet, amidst it all, a certain emptiness lingered. Each time my gaze met Buddy's, it felt as though he was silently promising to bridge that gap. I lowered my hand to caress his fur, allowing my fingers to dance along the gentle ripples of his coat. "You're a true hero, you know that," I murmured, my voice barely rising above a whisper. "I can't imagine what I'd do without you." Buddy released a soft sigh, his tail thumping rhythmically against the couch. I smiled, leaning back and finally allowing myself to relax for the first time all day. The warmth of Buddy's body against mine was grounding, a quiet comfort that nothing else seemed to provide. As the evening wore on, I found myself reflecting on the bond we shared, a tapestry woven with threads of trust and understanding. It wasn't merely his loyalty or companionship, though those elements were certainly significant. It was the way Buddy appeared to genuinely perceive me, to grasp my essence in a manner that felt almost human. He transcended the role of a mere dog. He served as a poignant reminder that even in the stillest, most solitary moments, I was not wholly alone. We lingered on the couch long after the sun had slipped away, enveloped in the gentle embrace of our shared warmth. It wasn't the life I had once dreamed of, yet in that moment, it felt like all I needed. The days melded into one another, a steady rhythm that, while familiar, lacked the spark of inspiration. Noah's return was postponed once more, yet another business trip extending beyond the expected. I reassured myself that I was okay with it. I had become accustomed to his absences. However, as the days stretched on, I discovered myself relying on Buddy increasingly. As the afternoon sun began its descent, I found myself at the kitchen sink, the rhythmic motion of scrubbing dishes a comforting routine. Buddy, ever the sentinel, lounged in the doorway, his ears twitching at the distant whispers of the neighborhood. The golden light streamed through the window, wrapping the room in a gentle embrace, yet a chill lingered within me. My mind drifted, heavy with the familiar pang of solitude, until the stillness was pierced by my voice. "Buddy," I whispered gently, my voice just above a murmur. He raised his head, his gaze locking onto mine, as if he could feel the change in my spirit. I took a deep breath and reached for his leash. "Come on, let's escape this place." With no specific destination calling to us, I guided Buddy to the car. The simple act of departing from the house felt like a tiny act of defiance against the dullness of the day. Buddy settled into the passenger seat, his head poking out the window, his fur dancing in the wind. His infectious joy lifted my spirits, and for the first time that day, I found myself smiling. Eventually, we arrived at a nature reserve on the outskirts of town. The walking trails were quiet, a serene haven where the only sounds were the gentle rustling of leaves and the distant chirping of birds. With a gentle release of Buddy's leash, I watched him leap forward, his tail a blur of excitement. The great outdoors had always been his playground, and witnessing his exuberance lifted the weight that had taken residence in my heart. I trailed behind him along the meandering path, the soothing sound of gravel crunching underfoot anchoring me to this moment. Buddy dashed through the trees, stopping occasionally to look back at me, ensuring I was still by his side. His enthusiasm was contagious, and for the first time in what seemed like days, a wave of tranquility enveloped me, the tightness in my shoulders loosening as I inhaled the fresh, invigorating air. As we strolled, my mind wandered to the life I had created with Noah. I loved him, or at least I believed I did, but recently, that love seemed to have transformed into a mere routine, a gentle companionship that lacked the vibrant spark it once possessed. In his absence, it was Buddy who stepped in to fill the emptiness, his steadfast loyalty calming the unease in my heart in ways I never expected. We stumbled upon a serene clearing, and I settled onto a fallen log, observing as Buddy roamed the space, his tail wagging with delight as he sniffed around, his boundless curiosity and infectious joy lighting up the moment. In due time, he meandered back to my side, plopping down at my feet with a blissful sigh. I reached down, my fingers finding their way to the soft fur behind his ears, and I couldn't help but smile as he leaned into my touch. His warm, unwavering presence anchored me once more. "You're my rock, you know that?" I said softly, my voice barely above a whisper. Buddy lifted his head, his expressive brown eyes meeting mine with a warmth that made my chest tighten. Moments like this reminded me just how much he meant to me, how his presence had become a lifeline in a world that often felt too quiet. As the sun sank lower in the sky, draping the clearing in long, golden shadows, I remained there with Buddy. We were wrapped in the tranquility of the moment, where time appeared to stretch, and for once, the silence embraced us like a comforting blanket rather than a reminder of solitude. The outside world seemed to dissolve, leaving only Buddy and me in our serene bubble. In that serene moment, a newfound clarity enveloped me, as if the burdens of my thoughts had been gently set aside, allowing me to embrace the simplicity of existence. As we strolled back to the car, it dawned on me just how desperately I had craved this respite from the confines of home, the monotony of daily life, and the relentless whirl of thoughts that had taken residence in my mind. Buddy trotted alongside me, his steps harmonizing with my own, and a profound sense of gratitude surged within me. He was more than just a dog to me. He was my steadfast companion, my anchor in a sea of solitude, the one presence that made the weight of loneliness lighter. As I drove home, silence enveloped me, the setting sun casting a warm glow of orange and pink across the sky. Buddy nestled comfortably in the passenger seat, his head gently resting on his paws, the soft cadence of his breathing breaking the stillness. I reached out, placing my hand on his back, discovering a tranquility I hadn't known I was yearning for. Upon our arrival, the house seemed to breathe with us, feeling less vacant, less stifling. Buddy trailed behind me, his tail a joyful blur as he nestled into his bed by the couch. I collapsed into the soft cushions, releasing a breath I hadn't known I was holding, and a wave of tranquility washed over me. The connection I had with Buddy was truly one of a kind, simple yet profound, steadfast and true. That night, as I lay in bed with Buddy curled up at my feet, I found myself lost in thoughts about the bond we shared. It was a feeling that eluded easy description, yet it filled the void left by Noah's absence in a profound way. Buddy was more than just a dog. He was my companion, my confidant, and in many respects, my dearest friend. For now, that was enough, or was it? The following night, as darkness descended, it felt denser, more impenetrable than before. The kind of inky blackness that cloaked the house seemed to push against the windows, shrouding everything in a suffocating stillness. The air was thick, electric, as if a storm was waiting just beyond the horizon. Buddy padded softly beside me as I navigated the house, his silent presence a comforting anchor. I chose not to flick on the lights, allowing the gentle glow of the moon to illuminate my path as I approached the couch. I sank into the cushions, and Buddy promptly nestled beside me, resting his head on my lap. The silence in the house enveloped me, a poignant echo of Noah's presence lingering in the air. My fingers found their way to Buddy's soft fur, moving gently as my mind wandered through a maze of memories. "You're all I have right now," I whispered, my voice a mere breath against the quiet backdrop. Buddy released a gentle huff, his tail rhythmically tapping against the couch. He raised his head to meet my gaze, his golden eyes brimming with a profound understanding that tugged at my heart. I breathed out unsteadily, my hand pausing on his soft fur. "It's just the two of us, isn't it?" I whispered, the words carrying more weight than I had meant. Buddy didn't seem to notice. Instead, he nestled closer, his warmth enveloping me as the burden of my solitude grew heavier. That night, our connection felt uniquely powerful, a force that transcended the ordinary. It wasn't merely the solace found in his presence or the way he reflected my feelings. It was an unspoken bond that eluded description. I reclined into the couch, shutting my eyes, allowing myself to be enveloped by the moment, the stillness, and the comforting warmth of Buddy beside me. Time melted away as we remained in that serene embrace, the two of us wrapped in a tranquil moment. My hand found its way to his head, fingers gliding over the gentle lines of his fur, exploring the delicate curve of Buddy's ears. He responded with a soft, satisfied sigh, his tail gently thumping against the couch. The soothing cadence of his breathing enveloped the room, anchoring me in a way I hadn't experienced in weeks. I opened my eyes and looked down at him, our gazes locking in a moment that felt timeless. In that instant, the world around us vanished, the room, the empty house, the lingering pain of Noah's absence. Everything melted away, leaving only the two of us in that sacred space. My hand lingered on his head, fingers weaving through his fur as an unexplainable pull settled deep within me. The connection was so profound, it left me gasping for breath. Buddy shifted closer, his warmth a comforting balm to the cold emptiness that had taken root in my chest. I leaned in a bit closer, my forehead gently touching his. With my eyes closed once more, I allowed the moment to envelop me, a blend of warmth and yearning, appreciation, and an indescribable feeling that lingered just beneath the surface. "I don't know what I'd do without you," I murmured, my voice quivering just a touch. Buddy leaned in with a tender nuzzle, his nose grazing my cheek with a gentle touch. His tail wagged again, as if he sensed the deep, unspoken connection that had blossomed between us. Time seemed to stretch, the outside world fading away as I remained there, lost in the moment with Buddy. The bond we shared enveloped me like a comforting embrace. It wasn't merely his presence, his unwavering loyalty, or his steadfast companionship. It was the profound way he made me feel acknowledged, understood in a manner I hadn't experienced in ages. I couldn't tell how long we lingered in that moment, but when I eventually drew away, my heart raced and my breaths were shallow and unsteady. Buddy's gaze met mine, a serene intensity radiating from him, as if he were poised for a moment of revelation. My hand rested on his head, fingers trailing down to his collar, caught in the challenge of expressing the whirlwind of emotions within me. Yet no words could capture this feeling, no language could convey the profound significance Buddy held in my life, how his very being had illuminated the shadows of my existence. There I was, sitting still, my hand gently resting on his soft fur, my heart racing as I attempted to grasp the significance of it all. Gradually, I leaned back against the couch, my hand remaining on Buddy as he nestled beside me again. The atmosphere was thick with the unspoken connection we had, a poignant reminder of how he had transformed into so much more than merely a dog in my life. As the night deepened, an understanding enveloped me, not crafted by reason, but something more profound, more intuitive. Buddy had always been my steadfast presence, my unwavering support in a world that frequently seemed overwhelming, too solitary. In that instant, I recognized the depth of my need for him, not merely as a friend, but as a vital connection, a reassurance that I was not adrift. The house was wrapped in silence as I made my way to bed, with Buddy following closely behind. He settled at the foot of the bed, his gentle presence a comforting reminder that I wasn't completely alone. In the stillness of the dark, my thoughts danced around me, yet my heart felt a touch lighter, a hint more at ease. As I surrendered to the embrace of sleep, I murmured softly into the quiet, "Thank you, Buddy, for everything." He regarded me with a look that mirrored my own sense of solitude, a yearning for something greater, for adventure. His eyes conveyed a depth of understanding, as if he was silently assuring me he could fulfill the longing that stirred within me when Noah was absent. A stirring deep within me began to unravel, igniting a battle between resistance and surrender to the allure. I shook my head, murmuring softly, "No, I can't do this." Yet a fragment of my being, an irresistible whisper, yearned to discover what lay ahead. Maybe someday I would relent. But for now I stood firm. I wasn't prepared. The next morning, sunlight poured through the bedroom window, bathing the room in a warm, golden hue, hinting at the day's potential for new beginnings. I stirred from sleep, the echoes of the previous night still dancing in my thoughts. Buddy was already up, perched by the bed with an air of calm, his tail gently sweeping the floor in measured arcs. "Morning, Buddy," I whispered, my fingers finding their way to the familiar spot behind his ears. He leaned into my touch, his warm breath dancing against my wrist. Such a simple gesture, yet it held a significance I had never truly acknowledged until now. As I wandered through the house, preparing for the day ahead, Buddy trailed behind me from room to room. His silent companionship wrapped around me like a warm blanket, offering a sense of stability I hadn't truly recognized until this moment. The memories of the previous night lingered, sharp and fresh, as if they had carved themselves into the very fabric of my mind. Something had shifted between us, something fundamental, though I couldn't yet pinpoint what it meant. After breakfast, I found myself back on the couch, Buddy resting at my feet. The silence in the house felt different today, less oppressive, more like a cocoon than an empty void. As my fingers glided through Buddy's soft fur, a soothing rhythm emerged, allowing my thoughts to drift like leaves on a gentle breeze. For years, I had tucked my emotions away, burying them deep to maintain the facade of a smooth life. Yet Buddy had an uncanny ability to draw those hidden feelings to the surface, compelling me to face the loneliness I had diligently avoided. His unwavering loyalty and quiet understanding had been a lifeline, one I hadn't realized I needed until it was too late. Buddy was looking at me with those eyes again, and suddenly, I found myself unable to resist. Our bond was so close, I knew I had to give in. It felt like he was offering to fill the emptiness of my solitude with a spark of thrill. I leaned closer, and he sensed my intention. I kissed him, and an indescribable tension hung in the air between us. His tail danced with a fervor that was hard to ignore, and while I can't share every little detail, I can certainly say that I surrendered to the moment. I found myself on my knees, turning around, and the experience was simply breathtaking. As Buddy embarked on his journey, I found myself in awe, unable to foresee just how extraordinary it would become. The connection we forged only deepened the experience, making it truly remarkable. After what felt like 30 to 40 minutes, he finally finished, and I let out a sigh, leaning back against the cushions. "What are we doing, Buddy?" I asked softly, my voice carrying a blend of wonder and confusion. He gazed up at me, his golden eyes locking onto mine, and for a fleeting moment, it seemed as though he was seeking an answer as well. The day drifted by in a blur of ordinary chores and brief flashes of insight. I folded laundry, tidied the kitchen, and strolled with Buddy through the neighborhood, all the while sensing the profound connection we shared weighing upon me. The weight of it all had become impossible to overlook, despite my best efforts to push it aside. As the sun dipped below the horizon, a restless energy buzzed within me, an unshakable tension. With a firm grip on Buddy's leash, I stepped outside, seeking solace in the cool evening air to untangle my thoughts. The air carried a refreshing chill, with the delicate aroma of wood smoke wafting through the atmosphere as we strolled toward the park. The pathways lay serene, illuminated solely by the gentle radiance of the street lamps and the sporadic glimmer of distant headlights. Buddy ambled alongside me, his gait sure and unwavering as he kept in step with my rhythm. I allowed him to take the lead, placing my faith in his instincts as we meandered further into the park. Before long, we stumbled upon a hidden clearing, where the grass glistened with dew and the night was alive with soft, whispering sounds. I settled onto a bench while Buddy nestled at my feet, his warmth a comforting contrast to the cool evening air. Above, the stars twinkled with a brilliance that resembled shards of glass strewn across the vast canvas of the night. In that fleeting moment, the burdens of the world felt as if they had momentarily vanished. Buddy adjusted his position, laying his head gently on my knee, and I instinctively reached down to caress his soft fur. This simple gesture anchored me, providing a comforting relief to my wandering mind. "You've always been here for me, haven't you?" I whispered into the quiet night, my words floating softly in the air. Buddy replied with a gentle whine, his tail thumping softly against the earth. Such a simple act, yet it wrapped around my heart like a comforting embrace, dispelling the shadows of doubt and loneliness that lingered in the corners of my mind. Buddy was more than a pet. He was my companion, my steadfast presence in a world that frequently seemed overwhelming and hollow. As time flowed on, I began to voice my thoughts, the words pouring forth as if a long-held secret had finally been released. I shared with Buddy my anxieties and uncertainties, the pain of a marriage that had shifted from intimacy to mere habit. I recounted the many nights I found myself in solitude, reflecting on the times when his mere presence was the glue that kept me intact. Throughout those trials, Buddy remained steadfast beside me, his silent support a gentle reminder that I was never truly isolated. His loyalty and unwavering affection were unlike anything I had ever experienced before. It filled the hidden corners of my heart I hadn't known were vacant. The journey home was serene, yet it wasn't a silence that felt void. Rather, it was rich with significance, a soothing calm that echoed profoundly within me. Buddy nestled comfortably in the passenger seat, his eyelids growing heavy as the soothing cadence of the road cradled him into slumber. I stole a glance at him, a soft smile playing on my lips, and reached out to caress his fur with tender fingers. Upon our arrival, the house embraced us with a newfound warmth, radiating an inviting charm that had been absent for weeks. Buddy trailed behind me to the couch, finding his place next to me as I nestled under a cozy blanket. The silence between us spoke volumes, a comforting assurance that in my most solitary times, I had company. I leaned my head back against the couch, my fingers gently exploring the soft texture of Buddy's fur. "You're my rock," I whispered, my voice heavy with unspoken thoughts. I took a seat on the bench, Buddy curling up at my feet, his warmth a soothing balm against the evening chill. Above us, the stars twinkled in the vast sky, like fragments of glass, their brilliance piercing the enveloping darkness. For a fleeting instant, the burdens of existence appeared to dissolve from my shoulders. Buddy adjusted himself, leaning his head against my knee, and I naturally extended my hand to caress his fur. This well-known gesture anchored me, a comforting routine amidst the tranquility of the night. "You've always been here for me, haven't you?" I whispered softly, my voice floating in the stillness. Buddy replied with a gentle whine, his tail thumping softly against the earth. Such a simple gesture, yet it filled my heart with warmth, dispelling the shadows of doubt and loneliness that lingered. Buddy was more than a pet. He was my companion, my steadfast presence in a world that sometimes seemed overwhelmingly large and hollow. As time flowed on, my thoughts poured out uncontainable, like a river bursting its banks. I shared with Buddy my worries and uncertainties, the pain of a marriage that had shifted from intimacy to mere habit. I shared tales of the long, hushed nights, where his mere presence was the anchor that held me together. Throughout it all, Buddy stood steadfast beside me, his silent companionship a comforting reminder that solitude was not my fate. His unwavering loyalty and love were a revelation, filling the voids in my heart I had never acknowledged. The drive home unfolded in a serene hush, unlike the emptiness I had encountered on countless occasions. This silence was rich with significance, a tranquil calm that echoed within me. Buddy nestled in the passenger seat, his eyelids growing heavy as the soothing cadence of the road coaxed him into slumber. I cast a sidelong glance at him, a gentle smile playing on my lips, and reached out to caress his fur with tender fingers. Upon arriving home, the atmosphere felt transformed, imbued with warmth and a welcoming embrace that had been absent for weeks. Buddy trailed behind me to the couch, where he nestled beside me as I wrapped myself in a cozy blanket. The gentle bond we nurtured served as a poignant reminder that even in the depths of solitude, I was never truly isolated. I reclined against the couch, allowing my head to rest while my fingers meandered through Buddy's fur. "You're my rock," I murmured, the words tender yet laden with significance, a subtle recognition of all that he had come to represent in my life. With a soft whisper, heavy with feeling, I shared, "You've always been my anchor." Buddy inched closer, his warmth enveloping me, his tail wagging gently in reply. The link we shared was unmistakable, a connection that went beyond mere words or reasons. It was a mystery that eluded my grasp, yet its reality was undeniable, and that certainty was sufficient. As time slipped away, the house enveloped itself in silence, the outside world dissolving into the tranquility of the night. I remained on the couch with Buddy, his presence a reassuring anchor as I surrendered to a serene reverie. As I gazed into the uncertain horizon of what lay ahead, one truth stood firm in my heart: Buddy would always be by my side. His loyalty shone like a beacon, and his love wrapped around me like a warm embrace in a world that often swayed unpredictably. After weeks of turmoil, a newfound clarity washed over me, a gentle assurance that I was not alone in this journey. As I surrendered to the embrace of slumber, Buddy nestled close to me. I felt a comforting certainty that whatever awaited us, we would confront it side by side. Yet, as I lingered in that tranquil moment, a thought began to weave its way into my consciousness. Was it all right, what we had embarked upon? Am I simply peculiar? Or is this a sentiment shared by many? I found myself without the answers. What are your thoughts on it? I would love to hear from you in the comments. Thank you.